so anyone can join. We have a problem, it's not really a problem, but it's that people send a lot of ideas to the project. A lot of, for example, feature requests. So they say, hey, we can do this, or they can do this other one, or we can add a new background to the distribution, and there are a lot of ideas. There are too much ideas. So I think one of the most difficult parts of managing an open source project is choosing the right ideas. Maybe your users or your team will send you 100 ideas, and you will have to choose only one idea to move forward, because you have to manage all the resources you have in your project. Very frequently, in open source projects, you have not too many resources to watch, so you have to choose the right ideas.
Just one comment regarding the community question. The community concept, well, in my opinion, has three components. The people, one place, one objective shared, or in general. So in this year, we try to change the place. We use the virtual environment. So this is a big strategy in Latin, and I'm really happy with the results in general. But then I can't detail the project.
Actually, I just wanted to add on that. I think the vision is another really critical piece. It has to be succinct, and it has to be, everybody has to understand it. You know, if you go to the Drupal's mission page, it's people that are interested in the future of the web. It's no more complicated than that. It's not about content management systems or collaboration or web application frameworks or mobile or anything. But it's enough of a unifying vision that people can get behind it. And I think that, you know, that's a hard thing to do in marketing. So I get, what's our vision? I'm like, I don't know. So I think that is another piece of this, is you have to be able to articulate it in a way that resonates.
Maybe I want to add, I don't know if to summarize and to go in the same way. I have little experience on 100% community projects, let's say projects that have been built from nothing, only with volunteers. On this framework, we say that it's very important to free immediately. I remember by 2002, 2003, moments where public, even big companies or big government agencies came to some project and say, well, we have a lot of money, but we can build it first, we'll do it in private, and after we publish. And the leader said, well, no, we cannot work on one hand in secret, and on another hand, the same in front of our community. So coming for this kind of project, it's freedom, openness is absolutely necessary to be honest with our community. But certainly, and there comes the question is, certainly now that we have a lot of big companies and other people putting financing in very good open source project, when is the right moment to open? And it's normal that a big company says, well, I can be a little bit paranoid of my data, of my ownership, and that's normal. When you own something, when you own it for the people, say, when should I give it?
What's everybody looking at me?
Ivan, Luis Ivan, you can answer to that. You will see.
Yeah, I think the right moment to free software project is the first day if you have a project that it's not a lot of disruptive technology, for example. But if you are developing a disruptive technology, you probably want to have an alpha or a beta version, a more developed version, and then free it. Because, you know, there are a lot of closed source companies waiting to copy your product and to make closed source. And you cannot look at the source of a closed product because it hasn't. So I think when you are developing something very disruptive, you have to wait to have a mock-up product running and not only the idea. So you have to free code, you know, to have an advantage, competitive advantage in the market.
I can give you actual cases where that's a very bad idea. For one reason, if it's very disruptive, somebody could try very quickly to put a software patent on it. And since you typically as an open source development group don't have much money and don't believe in software patents, these people run to the patent office, start a patent going, have to write a patent pending. If you start publishing your ideas right from the beginning, then your ideas are published, they're out in the open domain, and they cannot patent it because of prior art. Okay? So that's a problem, at least in the United States and all the other countries that follow software patents. I'd like to talk about why sometimes projects fail. Okay? Because that's the opposite of why projects succeed. And I've done a lot of projects that have failed because they've been going along in one stream and all of a sudden the leader of the project decided, I'm going to change the license from BSD to GPL, or try and change GPL to BSD, which is a lot harder. And in any case, it's a recipe for disaster because then all the people who have been going along and writing code up to that point say, I don't like that, I'm going to fork the project. And now you have two sets of developers out there, both of which are unhappy. Another thing to do is to think about completely rewriting something, because your first one really sucks. Okay? I don't know if the translator can translate the word sucks, but you know what it is. And don't be afraid, because so take a look at the GIMP. The GIMP is a very successful digital manipulation program. And GIMP for the translated GIMP. But when it was first written, it was a monolithic blob of stuff. And it was terrible. You couldn't change it, you couldn't update it. They ripped the whole thing apart. GIMP version 2 was this nice little backplane that you could stick modules into, fantastically successful. So one of the advantages we have in the free software space that proprietary companies do not have is, in effect, we have unlimited resources. Because we're not on a schedule that has to meet a quarter-by-quarter profit margin. We don't have to pay engineers amount of money. I mean, I remember back at Digital that if an engineer said to a product manager, I'm going to rewrite the entire I/O subsystem because I want to make it cleaner and nicer and things like that, they would have had their head handed to them on a platter. Because why didn't you write it right the first time? And we have more important things for you to do because this customer needs a new widget in their humdum. I don't know how to translate humdum either. But in any case, but with free software, in version 2.6 of the kernel, they stripped out the entire I/O subsystem and rewrote it so it's beautiful now because they could. So these are some of the types of things you have to think about in free software. Drupal threw away compatibility going between, I think it was...
all the major versions. No backwards compatibility.
Right. They throw it away because they say, in the next version, we're going to do it better. We've learned from the previous version, we're going to do it better. This causes some problems sometimes for the people that write modules and everything. But in the long run, that may be the right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm going to take a little bit of a different tact. You know, think about it from the perspective of the organization that is taking this free software and using it to build applications, to build integrations with technologies that they have in-house, or they meet their requirements. You know, the people of those organizations look a lot like those of us here in this room. They care about open source, they care about free software, they're interested in the work they're building and they want to share it. But oftentimes the corporations don't necessarily know how to contribute back to an open source project. to what happens, what does it mean I have to distribute software? And so, we spend a lot of time in the early period when they're just considering Drupal, helping them understand the value of contribution. That you might spend $100,000 to build some functional requirement. But if you think about it from a 5-year perspective, the total investment in that functional requirement or that integration or whatever it might be $500,000. And if you don't contribute it back to the community, then you have to carry the burden of that entire $500,000 over 5 years. But if you do contribute it back, and it's a useful thing and other people will see value of it, you get to split the cost with all the other people that are using that software. And they'll write patches, and they'll write drive requirements, and they'll advance the software. So suddenly you've taken this burden that in a proprietary software world, you'd have to own by yourself. And you've shared it with the community. You probably accelerate the pace of innovation, and you're lowering your costs. And organizations understand it. When you talk about the economics of open source, they're smart people. They have stakeholders. They have constituents that they need to respond to. They understand it, but they haven't necessarily processed this problem, so it's new. I mean, it's interesting. The White House runs on Drupal, and I don't know, probably a year and a half ago, they announced that they were contributing 4 modules back to the Drupal community. The executive branch of the U.S. government is writing code and contributing it back to the open source project. That was an amazing, milestone for them and from open government in the U.S. and around the globe.
Yeah, but Obama takes credit for it when it's really Michelle who's doing the code.
There you go. But the thing is that it took months of understanding the legal processes, understanding the licenses to figure out how to do that. The passion and the desire to contribute back were there all along. Figuring out the mechanics, sometimes that takes a while, but that passion for open source, whether it be in the Drupal community or within an organization, is what fuels that and pushes that process along so they can, and the smart organizations do.